Let's take a look at an example of a function. And I'm going to bring up Notepad. Okay. And I have my HTML, my header section, title. This is going to be an average example. So we're going to bring in 3 numbers and find the average of them. Okay. Now I'm in the header section, so keep that in mind. And this is where we put our function in at. So I'll have script type equals text / JavaScript. This is always the same on every problem. Then I'm have my function, and I'll say calculate average. Maybe I'll put an underscore in there to make it a little bit more readable. Now I've got beginning parentheses, closing parentheses. And now I'm going to have a beginning curly bracket to start the function. I'll press down or my enter a couple times and have my closing to close the function. Then I'm going to have my closing script, so /script, and my closing for the header section. Then I have my body. And here I'm going to have my inputs. So input type equals text. ID equals num1. And then I better have a little bit of prompt before it. Then I'll come over here to the end. I'll do a line break. Number 2, input type equals text. ID equals num2. Line break. And then my number 3, input type equals text. And I got ID equals num3. And my line break. And then I'll have my button. So I'll say input type equals button. Value equals calculate. Calculate. There we go. And / body or answer. Input type equals. I don't think that should be text. It should be input. But let's check. Long day. Okay, and then I'll end the body. And I'll end HTML. Okay, so let me save that. File. Save as. Temp. And then I'll change this to all files. And I'll call this average.html. Okay, let me go to my folder for that. Got my average. I'll right click on it and say open with Google Chrome. Oh, it says right. There are text. Sticking the input. Okay, so I'm going to put my answer, there are numbers here like that. I'll click the button and it'll put the answer here. That's the idea. Looks like I needed a line break after the button. Let me save that. Refresh this. Okay. I could do a little bit of formatting to make this a little bit more pleasing, but that's okay. Now up here, we're going to bring in the numbers. So I'm going to say n1 is equal to parse float, and then I get element by or document dot get element by ID. Hopefully the uppercase letters are correct there. And num1 dot was it value? I think value. And then closing parentheses on the parse float. Okay, n2 is equal to parse float document.get element by ID num2 dot value close parentheses semicolon. N3 is equal to parse float document.get element by ID num3 dot value, and average is going to equal to n1 plus n2 plus n3 divided by 3, and then I want to set that equal, and see, document get element by ID answer dot value equals average. Now down here on the button, I'm going to program this. I'll say on click equals, and then calc average. Okay, let's see how close I am, if at all. There it is. Refresh that. 3, 5, 6, calculate. 8, 14 divided by 3 is 4.67. I guess. Let's try this. 6, 12. That should be 21, should give me 7. Oh, okay. It worked. To be honest, I didn't feel that comfortable with these. When I program in two different languages, they start kind of merging together. In C#, you have to do an average.toString to convert that to string before you set it to equal to that. But that looks like our answer. Now let me explain what everything's happening. These are, of course, called num1, num2, num3. When you click the button, it triggers this on click, and it runs this function, calc average, which is declared up here. Now it's got a beginning parentheses, closing parentheses. These are no parameters pass in. This would be like if I started the car. So my function in the morning when I get ready to go to work is start car. There's no parameters to pass in. Now if my function is to drive to the store, well, I have to know which store. Dillon's, Walmart, you know what exactly. So that would be a parameter passing in to tell the person where they're driving to. Now here I'm not passing any parameters in. I'm going to bring in num1, do a parse float to convert it to float. Same with n2 and n3. Then I'll calculate my average. Notice I put parentheses around them. So I make sure it adds them first, and then divide by 3. And then I write out my average back out to the screen in that text box down here. And that shows you an example of figuring the average using functions.